Good morning. This is the state of the school, Frank School, Camp Branch Camp. Well, not the Camp Branch campus now because I'm all over the world. I'm mostly in Europe right now with what I'm talking about. 55th video in this series, and I'm still in travel, and I'm going to be here a while. I've decided I've got to stop being apologetic about there being so many videos in this because none of them are. I'm not repeating anything, and I don't think I'm telling you anything which does not in some way apply to Frank's School Camp Branch campus ultimately. So I'm in the 90s now, the 1990s, and pretty much over the span of that decade, from every late June, early July, right in there, I might take about every other year. I took students to Europe. 6 times, I think. And that first trip with my daughter was very memorable. It was, in some ways, although it's the oldest, well, they all stood out in their own way. But then a few years later, after maybe 2 or 3 of these trips, I decided I really should take my son to Europe as well. Now, he was not so keen on it from the start. But my wife agreed that it would be good, and various of his friends signed on. He was in high school at that time, of course, and so we had that trip. Erica went more than once with my daughter went more than once with me. She might have gone even 3 times with me as I assembled these tours. You got somebody got to go for free. If you had for maybe every 6 students, one person got to go for free, and using that, we could afford it. So anyway, there was that trip. Now, I wanted to tell you that in those trips, they were different. I was not going really for my sake at all. I was going to teach. I really thought, and I still think, that for an American, experiencing Europe is very educational, and it's not the same as joining the military and being in a military base somewhere, even in Europe. To actually be in Europe, it's now because of jet travel and really the end of that epic, I think, in that culture, it's coming to an end. Tourism is going of that kind is going. It's going to have to end. It's at a peak right now. I mean, people are using it. I hate that term bucket list. I just people saving up in a bucket, a way to do the ultimate to destroy the environment with the jet fuel and all that stuff. As I've said before, travel I think now should be done online. In a way, it's like the old days with the what did they call them? Troubadours. There's another word for them that would travel through from village to village. That was how you experienced the world. From people who had traveled, like specialists, they would sing their songs, their epic poems about what was going on in the world at large. And professional travelers now, armed with their cameras and their drones and stuff, they can do a fine job, and you can experience. It's not the same, but it's going to be close. All right, what I want to tell you is that when I took the students, I got to be on my own sometimes. Part of a typical day was that an afternoon in a city, it was understood that the kids would have time on their own, and I would too, on time on their own to do whatever they wanted. And they could stay with me, and I would take them around in the city. But very often they wanted to try to go out there on their own, and that was scary for me. It should have been for them, I don't know if it was. But I told them that if you can tell me where you're going, who's going with you, how you're going to get there, and how you're going to get back to the hotel, I'm okay with it. Now, there were no cell phones at that time, of course. This is in the 90s. Well, when that would happen, sometimes there I'd be with no students and nothing scheduled for, say, 3 hours in an afternoon. And very often, very often, I would have that time on my own to explore things in these cities. Of course, the tours, they were city to city to city to city, and riding buses in between. But the buses were just like on interstates in the United States. You didn't really experience the countryside. But so there I saw the sights of the cities, the major cities, many times. Um, for my son though, that one time was enough for him. He to his credit, he stayed awake. He didn't sleep on the bus. He looked at stuff as we were driving through it. He didn't sleep the trip away and then want to party all night. No, he's a little bit, and he'd hate to hear it, but he's a little bit more like me. In some ways, he's a lot like me. So anyway, that's gonna take over the student trips to Europe for now, and I'm gonna go on. Bye for now.